Hello there. It is Tuesday and also the week of Halloween, as you can see. It's a bit tough to look into the camera and wear this, so we kind of got it on top of my head now. This can only be good, right? This can only spell good things. But nonetheless, it is Tuesday, the week of Halloween as well. It's time for another In Real Life video. This week, we are taking a general viewer submitted question. Their username, of course, should be somewhere in the bottom third of the video right about now. As always, you too can submit a question if you would like. It'll get added to our long, ever-growing list of other general viewer submitted questions. Helps as well if when you leave a comment, you include a question mark. And of course, if it breaks like terms of service or anything like that, it'll have to be ignored. But otherwise, on this particularly spooky week, let's see here. We have a question which asks, what are your favorite games that you haven't played on the channel? And I figured, holy cow, what sort of better an opportunity to be wearing this costume than to go into some of my favorite games I've played off of the channel, which first and foremost, most recently would probably be Alan Wake 2. Wow, I really, really enjoyed Alan Wake 2 to a immense degree, and now that I've gotten to play Baldur's Gate 3, it's really wild to me to be playing one of them and have played the other, and to sort of think back, like, oh my gosh, last year was just two really incredible banger games, at least for me, right? Two really incredible things, that being Baldur's Gate 3 and Alan Wake 2. I've really loved them. They're fantastic, right? Still, of course, playing through Baldur's Gate 3. But also, on the list, I figured should bring up some other ones too. There's a few games that I play with like semi-regularity. I don't know if I would say that they're like favorites per se, right? But I feel like it's worth mentioning on this list. With some amount of regularity, pretty much weekly, I play Dead by Daylight and Fortnite a decent amount. Mostly as for the sake of them being like multiplayer games that are fairly accessible in the literal sense, in that they're kind of everywhere and they have full access cross-play. So it's easy to group up with people who you know who are kind of into games or whatever. They're just good games to sort of like, I don't know, screw around in and talk to people and, you know, keep up with folks, right? Kind of do that. Gotten decent at them, very much enjoy them, but I don't know if I would go so far as to say that they're like favorites or whatever. The same goes for like recently I've played a little bit of Deadlock with some other friends, and I definitely wouldn't describe that as like a favorite because I'm really not like a big MOBA player, and that's definitely like a type of MOBA. But like I said, it's fun enough to like kind of screw around with and like have fun with other friends and junk like that. Let's see. I've got like a whole list here just in case because I've got quite a few. Oh yeah. In addition to like Alan Wake 2 and stuff like that, I've gotten kind of by nature of that, by virtue of that, I've gotten into the like Remedy connected universe, that being also Control, and to like a lesser extent Quantum Break, and I think to an even lesser extent Max Payne, which, man, Max Payne 1 and 2 I played way back in the day. But I don't know how officially connected those two are, Max Payne. But nonetheless, really enjoyed that. In also kind of recent times, enjoyed Breath of the Wild a whole lot. Of course, really had a lot of fun playing Breath of the Wild. Also, similarly, in the Nintendo sort of school of thought, I've really enjoyed. Like, there's so many older Nintendo games, you know, like it's such a, I don't know. They hold so many like games that are important to people in their youth, right? And forward, right? But certainly, you know, it's one of those that are really accessible to young kids. different Nintendo games and stuff like that. Like in recent days, Mario Odyssey, I still really enjoyed that. But of course, going way back, was super duper into Mario 64 way back in the day. I even got like the re-release of it on the Nintendo DS and played so much of it there. I remember playing tons of Mario 64 on the DS version on my bus ride back from school. It was so much fun. I did like so much in it. I was even like running around trying to figure out like, oh, in Bomb Battlefield, can I do a triple jump to get over the first little wall on the left as soon as you get into the area? And yeah, you could. Other ones in more recent times, Metal Gear Solid 5, I still hold that as I think like my favorite stealth game of all time. I still think that's like my absolute favorite stealth game. It just has so much possibility for emergent gameplay. Like I love it so much, and like the way, like the story itself is pretty good, except for, you know, how the usual issues with like how abrupt it all kind of comes to the end. But otherwise, as far as gameplay mechanics are concerned, like it's second to none. Nothing has even really come close, I think, to sort of the emergent gameplay available in Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. It's just absurd, right? It's just like this immense stealth sandbox where you get all sorts of different tools, approach things how you want, and you kind of go back to a base and you build that up in a way that you want. There's just so much going on. And like I said, there's really, nothing has really ever come close to it in all these years since. It's kind of wild, and maybe speaks to the breadth of the game itself that nothing has really even, like I said, nothing has really come close to attempting what it managed to pull off. It is truly incredible, I think. Sort of along those lines with regards to like immersive sims and stealth, very much enjoy a lot of those, sort of your Deus Ex games. I haven't played any of the classic, I haven't played like regular original Deus Ex. I played a little bit of Deus Ex 2, which is often the like, I don't know, the one that not many people like. But I did play a little bit of that on a like official Xbox magazine demo disc way back in the day. But in more recent times, really enjoyed Human Revolution and Mankind Divided to maybe a lesser extent. Really enjoyed stuff like Dishonored, you know, all the Arcane stuff. Also in recent days, very much into Satisfactory, playing that every now and again. I really do enjoy a lot of cozy games. As we're finding out, it's very difficult to just pick like one or two favorite games, right? It's very difficult. Like I've mentioned before, the more you are into something and into like a certain hobby or space, the more difficult I think it is to just pick a favorite. You know, you have so many different contingencies where it's like, oh, if I'm in this kind of mood, if I'm interested in this type of genre, right? On any given day, you could have multiple favorites and whatnot. And I think the same holds true here. But yeah, lots of cozy games of varying degree. I very much enjoy those. I like a Stardew Valley. I played a decent amount of Starbound, Terraria, stuff like that. Definitely enjoyed like played Harvest Moon a good bunch back in the day, predating Stardew Valley. But, you know, Stardew Valley is like, it is completely subsumed the sort of like life sim farming genre, I feel. In a similar sense, really into The Sims. Well, I don't know if I would say really into it, but I do enjoy like booting it up every now and again, especially if there's like a DLC or whatever that particularly piques my interest. Every now and then I like to get into it and just kind of like chill out. It's a great podcast game, right? I love listening to podcasts or like having videos playing on a second screen for like a second screen experience and listening to the video as if it were a podcast. I love doing that. That's sort of like the basis upon which I built the channel, is with an understanding that a lot of people would be watching videos that I make in such a way. Really love stuff like that. Sort of maybe back more in the indie zone of things. Let me see here on this list. Yeah, let's get a few of these indie games up here. All right, yeah. Project Zomboid, very much enjoyed my time with that and looking forward to going back to it in the future as they add more and more on. I'm not sure if that game will ever reach a 1.0 status, but they, like I said, they continually keep adding more to that game. And it, like I said, when I played it, it was such a joy. Really had so much fun with it. Similarly with regards to fighting zombies, I loved Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, and even the somewhat, I don't know, what would you would call it? Somewhat stained, somewhat ill thought of in some people's minds, Back 4 Blood. I actually really enjoyed Back 4 Blood. Maybe that's a future video idea. It's games I like that not a lot of other people liked, right? But I really enjoyed that. And of a similar ilk, Marvel Heroes, the sort of Marvel action role-playing game, you can't even play it anymore. And yet it is my top most played game on Steam. I have like 1,000+ hours in this game, and you can't even play it anymore. But it was like my go-to podcast game for the longest time. An action role-playing game in the same vein as like a Diablo, which as well have enjoyed Diablo games since 2 and onward. Admittedly, haven't put as much time into 4 as I probably ought to, but also of a similar note, very much enjoy Path of Exile. Very much into that. Let's see, what else do I have on this list? Oh yeah, back onto indie games more. Hotline Miami 1 and 2, those are big faves. Speaking of the fun little mask or whatever. Thomas Was Alone was also very enjoyable. To the Moon, another very enjoyable like indie narrative experience. Sort of going back to other ones, like I said, stuff like, BioShock, Borderlands 2 I really enjoyed, Saints Row 2 and 4. Let me look more on this list. A lot of the Rockstar games, right, of course. I've played all of Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. Pretty much every Grand Theft Auto from 3 onward I've played and enjoyed. I'm looking forward to the new one, but definitely as a lot of PC players also feel the same way. Sad that it isn't coming to PC day and date as consoles, because they're very obviously, they know that they can get away with milking people for the sort of double down situation, right? Wherein they're definitely going to bring it out with some amount of enhancements like a year or so afterward, right? As they have done in the past, unfortunately. Other games I've just put a lot of time into. Team Fortress 2, undeniable. Used to love that. Played so much of Scout, but really loved every single class in there. Probably my favorite first-person shooter of all time has to be Team Fortress 2. Just loved it so much. I was so good at Scout. This was back before there was like full-on MMR or anything like that. And there was just like private servers and stuff. I would go on to servers and stuff and play Scout, and I would terrorize people. People would clear out of the servers because of how, not to toot my own horn here, but people would clear out of servers because this kid showing up playing Scout, what an a-hole, no fun allowed, running up on heavies, getting them with correct me if I'm wrong, but is it not the case if you're fighting a heavy as a Scout, 3 scattergun blasts point blank into the heavy, that's enough to take them down, right? It was either 3 or 4. And if you could get it just right, oh my God, it was shocking how much damage you could pump out with that scattergun. And if you were able to like keep jumping around and like kiting around their body to where they just couldn't track you, oh my gosh, it was amazing. My bane of my existence, though, were people who were really good at playing the sniper, right? Incredibly good at just absolutely annihilating me. And that's where I got to feel the other side of things. I was like, oh my gosh, this sniper is just too good. They're just flicking their wrist over and just popping my head like nobody's business. Just got to clear out of this server. Another game that I've put like an inordinate amount of time into, and I don't really anymore, like I said, of a similar ilk of Team Fortress 2 at least. A whole lot of World of Warcraft. I played so much of MMORPGs. Like you'll have probably heard me sort of lament the fact that it's difficult for me to get into an MMORPG these days because I've just played so much of them way back in the day. I played so much World of Warcraft, and before that, so much Anarchy Online. Played a little bit of City of Heroes. I even played some City of Heroes when they came back with the private server stuff. And I quite enjoyed my time with that, but once again, it was tough to like stick around. And before that, RuneScape even. But yeah, most of it. Spent so much time in World of Warcraft. Made some pretty close friends in World of Warcraft as well, who I still keep up with to this day. So I always look back on my time spent on them, and I think back to like those memories. Although I put a lot of time into them, I have a lot of memories from there, and a lot of like lasting friendships as well. So I never think of it as like, oh, this is time poorly spent. I completely disagree. If I have good memories of it, and even more so if I have like lasting friendships from that time, I 100% see it as like, that was time well spent. I was making memories. I was building relationships, stuff like that, right? But my gosh, played so much WoW, played both Horde and Alliance. Started as Alliance. I think I started playing WoW in middle school, but nonetheless, I started as a gnome mage, and eventually came to find like, yeah, maybe I'm not much of a mage player. Maybe I'm not really, maybe this isn't really my speed, like charging up stuff to cast. Maybe I'm not into that. So eventually pivoted into playing a paladin, which I played for the longest time. And that was where I got a lot of my like raid experience and stuff. I was the main tank of a guild. I was also the offhand tank as well for a time. We ran a whole bunch of heroics. This was in like Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King period. Did a whole lot. And frankly, what a time, what a golden era to be into that game, I would say, right? That was truly like the time to be playing it. But also came back for World of Warcraft Legion, played a little bit of Cataclysm, but kind of fell off around there. But like I said, came back for Legion. When it seems like a lot of other people did too. Came back for that. They're due for like their big, 20-year anniversary, I think, right? World of Warcraft. But came back for Legion, played a Orc Shaman a ton. Also got back into raiding, albeit a lot more casually. I still really enjoyed my time with it. Even met up with a lot of those same friends because we all kind of came back together. Like I said, we never really fell out of touch with one another. But super duper good times, right? There's probably way more games as well, right? That could be considered, I don't know, seminal classics or just like games I really, really enjoyed that I haven't played on the channel, as well as ones that I intend to play on the channel in the future. Like for instance, Mass Effect. I really enjoyed Mass Effect, Dragon Age, from sort of like the golden age of BioWare in their 3D era. Of course, very much enjoyed those. Knights of the Old Republic, stuff like that. Yeah, there's really no shortage of it. As well, thinking back, we were talking about Nintendo stuff. Nintendo had a few pretty neat role-playing games, I would say. Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door. Played the heck out of that. Really, really enjoyed that. And before that, Super Mario RPG. I think I still have my copy of Super Mario RPG on the SNES. I think I still have that. I'm not entirely sure, though. Right? I'm not entirely sure. I think I do, though. Oh, my gosh, yeah. But there's a lot of them. Hopefully, like I said, it's difficult to say. We could go through the years and think of like ones that I enjoyed every year. Like the more I sit here thinking about it, I'm like, oh, I also really enjoyed Twisted Metal back in the day. Oh my gosh, couldn't get enough of that. There's just no shortage of it. Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon. Oh my gosh. But yeah, in recent times, Alan Wake 2 has been absolutely fantastic. Satisfactory. I've enjoyed dipping into and out of it every so often. It's been very relaxing. That ought do it, right? For this week, a lot of favorite games I've not played on the channel. And like I said, a few of those, hopefully, I want to get on the channel at some point because they are within this channel's like purview, right? As well, along a similar line of this, I would love to, since I'm not doing the like Morrowind annual anymore this year, sort of this question, I would love to sort of reevaluate every year in an IRL video dedicated to like the past, I don't know, 365 days or so, and just talk about like stuff that I haven't done on the channel, right? Just games I've played off the channel and what I've been enjoying or doing in that regard. Sort of in the same sense where it's less so for the viewer and more so for me to just like catalog that and just to like look back on it in future, right? I don't know how much value or interest a general viewer like yourself would get out of it, but I definitely know I would love to look back on it myself years on in the future. Anyway, that ought to do it for this week, I think. Hope you have a good one. Hope you have a happy Halloween if you're going and celebrating it. If you're doing something yourself, having a party, maybe you got kids, maybe you're young enough that you feel down to go trick-or-treat yourself. Be safe. Have a scary time. All right. Until next time, please take care of each other.